What aspect of crop production management did we study in our last video? We saw how we can manage the nutrients in the soil. In this lesson, let us look at another important requirement of plants. Water. Without water, plants cannot survive as it is the basic requirement for all types of agricultural activities. Where do you think we get this water from? What, according to you, is the main source of water? Rain. Absolutely right. And do we have rainfall throughout the year? Unfortunately, we don't. How do we then get the water we need for the plants? You may say we can store water to fulfill our needs. But the question is, can we store water all year around? Thanks to nature, it has its own way of storing water. Can you name the most common place where water is stored in a village? Wells? That's right. And do you know that there are two types of wells? One is called the tube well, while the other is called a dug well. What do you think is the difference between the two? The major difference between the two is the method in which they are created by humans. Dug wells are commonly found in villages and they do not need heavy machineries to be created. A simple shovel can help create a dug well. A dug well, in simple words, is an open hole made for the sole purpose of obtaining water for a simple household. The water is taken out manually with the help of ropes and a bucket. What about a tube well? The word itself hints at the structure of the well. A tube well consists of a pipe or a tube that is placed inside the ground. The ground is dug with the help of a machine. This machine keeps drilling until it hits the underground water table. This water table would then ensure constant supply of water. Can water be drawn out manually here? Of course not. Knowing the fact that the hole is quite deep, water can only be taken out with the help of a water pump. These tube wells are majorly used for irrigation purposes and they have the underground water at their disposal. What are the other water sources which can help irrigation? Have you heard about canals? What are canals? Canals are man-made cemented pipe-like structures that form a network in a particular area. These canals receive the water from a nearby water reservoir or directly from a river. This water is then carried through these canals to the nearby fields. The main canal is distributed into several smaller canals. What does this remind you of? A river and its distributaries, right? Well, let us say the canal system is an artificial man-made river system. The river system also brings to mind the idea of a river lift system. Do you know what a river lift system is? The places where canals cannot be built is where we opt for a river lift system. Building of a canal system involves labor and finances, and hence some villages cannot afford the building of canals. What do they do then? They have the rivers, don't they? So, the water is directly taken from the rivers. This requires the use of pumps. Water is taken from the main river to a centralized delivery chamber. Water is then made to flow with the help of gravity to the other parts of the field. Can you think of any other such reservoirs of water? What about tanks? Tanks act as a small storage reservoir. They intercept the surface runoff and collect the water. This water can then be used to irrigate the fields. This method is now widely used and we know it as rainwater harvesting. Rainwater can be allowed to seep into the soil where it will be stored in the underground water table. All societies and settlement can employ such techniques of water harvesting. These initiatives will ensure a constant supply of water throughout the year. Another technique is watershed management. Have you heard about the term watershed management? What is watershed? An area of land that drains into a common water body is known as a watershed. The rivers, the underground water, and the surface runoff all drain into a common area. This technique ensures storage of water as well as prevents surface runoffs. How can we help create a watershed? For a start, we could build small check dams. This will enable the water that flows on the surface to seep into the ground. Which other purpose will the dam serve? Do they prevent soil erosion? Yes, check dams not only help increase the underground water level, but they also help check soil erosion. Now that you know the various ways in which water can be made available for crops, let us look at cropping patterns in our next video. Do you know a definitive crop pattern can help save a lot of resources? Move on to our next video to know more.